Greetings, Commanders. Today I'm showing you my Mandalay exploration build. The exact ship I use when pushing into the Soul and Heart Nebula to make my first discoveries and collect biodata. The setup is designed to be self-sufficient so I can stay out in the deep space for weeks without having to return to the bubble. So unless you're going for brain trees, you're not going to need any hard points. If you are, then you can add a flat cannon that way you're able to harvest them, but for this build it's going to be focused on exploration, so we don't need any. Utility mounts, if you're worried about getting too close to the sun, you can put a heatsink in here. The Mandalay is one of those ships that actually cool off super quickly though, so you typically won't have any reason to actually need one, but if you want, feel free to add one as a safety. Alright, so let's go over the general build. So this is for the core internals. We're going to start with the lightweight alloy. This is engineered with the thermal resistance armor, and it is up to grade 4. If you want to take it to grade 5, that's completely fine. I stopped at 4 since you don't really need too much fancy things on an exploration ship. This is going to be mostly a shell of a normal ship. Next up on the list, we have a 4A power plant, which is also engineered. This is going to have the overcharged power plant, which gives you a little bit of extra juice. Also, we have monstered on it. Reinforced components increase power output at the cost of increased mass. It's okay that it weighs a little bit more. It's going to give us enough power to power everything we need, and we have plenty of headway with this setup. The reason why we have a 4A power plant, the smaller the components, the less weight they typically have, so dropping down some components to a smaller size is actually going to get us a bigger jump range in the end. Next up on the list, we have the 4A thrusters. Fully engineered for efficiency with the dirty drive tuning, and we also have it modified with the drag drives. Removal of safety protocols and controller software to increase drive thrust output at the cost of additional heat. Once again, you're using a Mandalay, so you don't really have to worry about heat generation too much. You'll be completely fine. I have mine upgraded to grade 4. You can go with grade 5 if you want to. Is going to be one of the newer components. This is going to be a 5A SCO pre-engineered drive that we got from the Titans. Now, if you're curious how to get the pre-engineered SCO drive, I will have a guide soon on how to actually earn one. But this comes basically with everything you need for jumping far into the unknown. We have the standard 4D life support. We don't have to do anything with this guy. We have 4D just to make sure that we cut down on mass. The D series always weighs less compared to everything else. Now the power distributor, this is actually going to be dropped all the way to 2A. Once again, this is mainly because of mass. And we don't really have that many things that we need to power on with the exploration ship, so that's not really too essential to have a big one. We have the engine-focused power distributor that's going to allow us to have our engines recharge much faster. We never use weapons on exploration ship and systems. We have a shield just for general cover in case you bump into something, but that's not going to become a play. So the main thing is going to be able to recharge our engine as quick as possible. That way you're able to get to those super far planets out in the middle of nowhere. We do have it modified with the cluster capacitors. Additional capacitor array allows the power distributor to store more energy at the cost of slower charging rate. So it is going to charge a little bit slower to recover, but our engines are going to be much more happy with this setup. Next up on the list, we have the 5D sensor. It is going to be engineered with a wide angle scanner all the way up to grade 3. And the fuel tank, you can't change these, but it's just the default 5C. Alright, so now that we have the core internals finished, let's head over to the optional. And now for the fun part, the optional internals, where Explorer builds live or die. The 5H Guardian frame shift booster up here at the very top. This is essential for deep space exploration, giving you that extra push into the jump range. Basically, this module is designed to give you plus 10 extra jump range for free without anything extra needed to it. Now, I like to have my exploration ships multi-purpose in case you ever decide to do extra stuff while you're out there. So I recommend a variety of limpets. We're going to start with a 5A collector limpet, so I can scoop materials off surfaces without constantly landing. Very useful for synthesis out in the black. We have the 4E cargo rack. This is mainly for storing your limpets and also any material that you happen to pick up along the way. Now our setup, we have a 4A fuel scoop. If you're wanting to be more efficient, you can have a 6A fuel scoop and just drop your frameshift booster into a slot 5. However, I like having plenty of collector limpets to speed things up when we're gathering things, so I always use a little bit bigger collector limpet. That's just one alteration that you can do to this build if you're wanting to customize it more to your liking. I also run an operation limpet for 3B. Next up, we have a 3B operation limpet. Now, this is a personal choice. Operation limpets aren't common in exploration builds, but I carry one for extra versatility. You can swap this for a fuel limpet if you're wanting to be a little bit more safe in case you can't get to a star that can fuel you. Now, the 3C Biweed Shield. It's lightweight, but enough to keep me safe from the odd bump or pirate interdiction before I leave the bubble. Occasionally, you might find a busy system where a pirate will jump you, but especially on the unknown, that's going to be very rare. And the Mandalay has good enough handling that you can break away from the interdiction super easy, so you typically won't have to worry about being attacked. It's mainly for if you accidentally bump into a planet going too fast. Next up, we have the 2G vehicle hangar. Now, why would you want a 2G? Well, these are labeled a little bit different than the rest. Thankfully, where we're at currently, they do have one in stock, so we can see the difference. So the 2G is going to come in at 6 tons. It has one vehicle slot and a power draw of 0.75 megawatts, where the 2H is going to come in at 12, a little bit less power draw, but also only has one vehicle, so it's going to weigh more. It's going to make our jump range drop a whole light year, and it doesn't really give any benefit. See how much headway we have? Well, we don't need it, but if you do need it, then you can drop to 2H if you're running into power issues, if you can't fully engineer stuff. Next up, we have a 1B auto field maintenance unit. This guy is going to have a little bit higher repair capacity than the 1A, so that's why we went with that design. We have a 1A repair limpet controller. Once again, the goal of an exploration ship is to not take much damage, so this is just for the occasional accidental bumps or scrapes. Especially if you're jumping super far, you might eventually start taking a little bit of damage, so this is just going to top you off on health. The goal here is to not really use this guy, so that's why it's a smaller one in the list. Next up, we have the detailed surface scanner, pre-engineered, a must-have for mapping and finding those valuable biological signals. This build is designed around sustainability. I can repair both the hull and modules. I can scoop fuel, I can collect materials, and I can land on planets to scan bios. The Guardian booster gives me the jump range to get to remote locations like the Soul Nebula, and the DSS makes it sure that I get paid at every scan. The operation limpet might not be standard, but I like having this as a safety net. If I run into another explorer in trouble, I can lend a hand. That said, if you're laser focused on efficiency, you can drop in for a fuel limpet and save yourself a little cargo juggling. So that's it. This is my Mandalay exploration build. It's not the only way to outfit an exploration ship, but it's balanced for first discoveries, biodata collection, and long-term survival from home. What would you change in this build? Let me know in the comments. If you want to see that in action, check out my recent trip to the Soul Nebula, where I made a first landing on an undiscovered world.